Good day. I am Matthias of Regeneration's Creations, and today I want to talk about something that started this whole channel, really, the creation of the Magistrati. If you've seen my intro videos or the video on the Paladin in my personal philosophy playlist, then you already have some understanding of what the Magistrati are, but here is a full story of them, full picture of them. So I was playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition with a group of friends, and after about a year, it came time to make new characters. We had unlocked the Drow as a playable race, which really was just a cursed elf that's unique to my GM setting. And I've always loved paladins, so I thought, why not make a Drow champion? And champions are just the Pathfinder version of paladins. In the general setting, there were 7 different types. Sorry, in the general setting of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, there are 7 types of champion, and I remember reading them all to try to find out which one called to me the most. I immediately knew I wanted to play the Liberation Cause champion. The description for the Liberation Cause was that they are chaotic good, and their divine cause drives you to become or to be independent, free-spirited, and committed to allowing others freedom to choose their own paths, so long as they do not harm innocents, and then always be against slavery and tyranny. I thought this path lined up the closest to my actual beliefs and would allow me to not be the stick in the mud paladin that's having to scold other party members for doing devious and fun little things. I also thought it would be really cool to put points into intimidation for this character so that I could discourage people from fighting just by my presence and some harsh words. I thought that would, give him an edge. So, because it's supposed to be chaotic good, right? So he's still using some of that chaos for, intimidating, but only for good. But there was 2 problems with this. One is that the code, as written, says that I can never threaten anyone. And in the world my GM had created, there was no God. So I started writing out my justifications for using intimidation and backstory for how I could be a holy warrior using divine power in a world that God had long ago abandoned. About 8 pages later, the Magistrati were born. I've done a lot of rewriting to fit them into the world of my current story, so it's no longer limited by the Pathfinder rules or by the world that my GM had made, but it's largely the same. The universe and everything in it is God. It's made up of a harmony of order and chaos energy. Order brings light, passivity, and stability, where chaos brings darkness, activity, and change. The Magistrati realized that both forces must be used in harmony for the true betterment of all. So like a traditional paladin, they seek to bring stability and protection, but unlike the traditional paladin, they see laws and strong governmental or bureaucratic order as stifling individual liberty and freedom. This leads. So if you're stifling freedom and liberty, this leads to a lack of creativity and creates an overall stagnation. So to have the best outcome for all, you need a framework to provide support, but that framework must be flexible enough to harness the changing and creative power of chaos. So the code of the Magistrati is this: all thoughts and actions of conscious beings coalesce to manifest our shared reality. Therefore, every conscious being has dignity due to its innate power to create and destroy. Chaos is change, and that is the constant state of the universe, the Ouroboros, ever creating and destroying itself. Therefore, hold to norms, knowledge, and emotion as the ephemeral details of existence that they are. Respect them for the real feelings they bring out in your fellow beings, but strictly adhering to them is dogma. And dogma is anathema to our order, to the Magistrati. A Magistrati must hold ever to this: the only path to stop is the one that intends to inhibit others from exerting their free will. Always start with kindness and diplomacy, Intimidation only becomes a path immediately prior to resorting to violence. Let offenders know they are free to make their decisions, but that certain actions they take will limit my personal choice down to either stopping them or sacrificing all that I hold sacred. In combat, especially against non-evil beings, always try to demoralize over attacking. A shout, a well-timed taunt, or a bold display of the emblem of the Magistrati is used to shake an enemy's resolve. Remind them of their options to choose life and freedom over certain failure and death. The emblem of the Magistrati is a 3D object. It's 4 faces encircling a head. It can be seen from 2 angles when looking straight at it, seen differently for each observer. The face follows you around. So have you ever seen those paintings where it's like no matter where you're going, the eyes seem to be following you around? Ooh, it's a French word, trompe-l'oeil. I can't speak French, I'm sorry. But it's that type of thing where it's like no matter where you're going, like the face is following you. So there's 2 ways to see the face, right? It's like 4 faces in a circle. So the emblem's either going to be looking at you, where it's like one face looking directly at you with a disapproving gaze. Here, the eyes will be a deep purple with void energy coming out of them. The second way to see the face is where it's kind of half shifted. So it's like the space between 2 faces. So the space between 2 faces has like, you know, a nose here, and then just like one long eye in the middle. And so this like third eye, it's like the all-seeing third eye with no discernible facial expression. Here, pure white light spreads out from the eye. So which angle you see the emblem in signifies how the universe views your current actions. Either it looks directly at you disapprovingly, or it just simply observes. The emblem is often a mace head, a sword pommel, affixed to the top of a helmet, a banner, or a shield, or worn on a chain around the neck or at the hip. No matter how they wear the emblem, they're always 3D objects, so that when you like hold it out to use the object, it's facing in all directions, so that it'll judge the Magistrati just as it judges all those around. So if the Magistrati is limiting the freedom or the free will of others and is using the emblem to, you know, to work some magic on them, the emblem will instead, you know, revoke that and judge the Magistrati instead. It's kind of like the old saying, whenever you point your finger at someone, you have 3 others pointed back at you. So it's kind of like built into the Magistrati code. If you're trying to judge others, this thing will judge you if you're not doing it by the code. For my main story, Path of the Magistrati, the main character, Mattheos, his emblem is the mask that he wears. So it's a wooden mask with carved obsidian faces on it. One's covering, you know, the face, and one is on the back of his head, and then the mask's kind of tied around. When he activates his emblem, the 2 other faces appear along the side of his head, made of pure light and void. So then it becomes the full 4-faced emblem when he activates it. So Magistrati, being users of order and chaos, have many of them have stormy personalities. I picture it like a ethical, moral version of Robert Baratheon from Game of Thrones, right, where he can be laughing and joyful one second and then roaring in terrifying rage the next. In my story, only night elves can be Magistrati. That is because night elves are manifestations of the aspect of creative chaos. So they're already in tune with chaos. And then when beset by the evil Ma'alie, who are manifestations of destructive chaos, they were forced to adapt their fighting style. So to fight this, you know, destructive chaos, they took on the blessing of order, so that their bodies were now a harmony of order and chaos. This blessing of order makes your scars and veins glow with a pure golden light. My character's backstory had left him heavily scarred and broken, so now much of his body glows with this radiant golden light. It looks a lot like the Japanese kintsugi style, where they repair broken pottery, but the joints where the pieces are put back together is colored in gold. So the finished piece has just like lines of gold where it was once broken. The Blessing of Order also gives you heterochromia, or the two different colored eyes. So one eye would be a golden light, and the other one is dark purple. And then Night Elves in my story already lack a sclera, so they don't have like the whites of their eyes. So now it's just like, pure gold and purple. So now I'm going to talk about the Magistrati's fighting style. The fighting style is a combination of the Pathfinder 2nd edition champion and Geralt wearing the School of the Griffin gear from Witcher 3. So when I played Witcher 3, I played as School of the Griffin gear, but I always went for like a mix between sword damage and sign damage. So that's kind of how I picture the Magistrati, like a mix of both. So like the Witcher, they also often wander the land alone, so they must be ready for a fight at all times. But also they're wandering alone, so they have to be able to take their armor on and off by themselves. Historically, it's nigh impossible to do this with full plate. You need like a squire, somebody helping you maintain and take on and take off the armor, the full plate armor. So again, inspired by the Griffin armor from Witcher 3, the Magistrati wear a brigandine over chainmail. Now, a brigandine is a bunch of like medium-sized metal plates sewn into a cloth or leather covering, and they can either be buckled at the front or at the side of the body. So this way, it's like it gives similar protection to full plate, but it's something that you can take on and off yourself. And it's a little more like weather resistant. It's not going to like rust as quickly as full plate. And the Magistrati's main weapon is a kite shield. So for those of you who don't know, it literally looks like a kite, right? Where it's like a rounded top and comes down to like a teardrop on the bottom. It's usually like, historically, it was like a cavalry shield, like so it would cover the length of the body. But I'm going to have them use it without being on horseback. So it's a long shield strapped to the arm and comes to a point at the bottom, and it has a metal dome called a boss in the front. So basically think the shield strapped to your arm, and then right outside of that is a chunk of metal, a metal boss. Also, the rim of the shield is coated in spell steel. And the boss is also made of spell steel. And then when it comes to the point at the bottom, there's like a sharp spike of spell steel at the bottom of the shield. So this allows, the spell steel allows the Magistrati to channel, store, and burst their magics from the shield. So they can focus void magic at the bottom tip to deliver an armor-piercing blow, or they can have the rim of the shield flash with a blinding light, or they can focus both order and chaos energies into the central boss and then have it explode out. It's like a little AoE attack. They all also carry a dagger and an axe, but these are mostly like tools or sidearms kind of thing. And then lastly, their other big weapon would be a one-handed but double-bladed sword. So I really like in The Witcher how they carry two blades. They have a steel blade for humans and a silver blade for monsters. I don't want my guys carrying two swords though, and they're not going to be using long swords like the Witchers use. So I thought I would just kind of combine it into one sword. So now they have like, a one-handed sword, but it's double-bladed, and the back edge is made of spell steel. So this backwards edge, this spell steel, it would be not as strong as normal steel. So it could like chip against, if you bash it against other metals, or if you're using it to like block and parry blows. But it does allow the Magistrati to channel their magics through the blade. So like they could shoot a searing bolt or a bolt of searing light at a medium range, or they could charge the blade with void energy for an armor-piercing strike. And then they also have spell steel woven into their armor, and it provides magical defenses for them. One ability Mattheos uses a lot in the story is the Magistrati version of the Witcher's Yrden sign. So if you've ever played The Witcher, you'll know what I'm talking about. So basically they stomp the ground with their foot, and this puts down a field of void energy around them in a large circle. And any enemies that come in this circle are slowed. So like in the story, I had it said that like it seems like enemies are like walking through like thick mud when they're inside of the circle. It's also made of chaos energy, so it's slowly like unraveling them, right? So it's like a damage over time kind of thing, where it's like they're slowly being torn apart. Their order is being damaged as long as they're in here. And then also this thing like a Yurden trap in Witcher will be able to bring things into the physical realm. So if you're fighting like ghosts or whatever, once it comes inside the circle, the ghost will be made corporeal, so you could defeat it. And then also like the School of the Griffin armor in Witcher 3, if you're inside of this circle of power, then your powers are enhanced. And you can also place down ethereal totems of balance. So this is like the alt sign for Yurden. So you like put your hand on the ground, and this like little like totem of energy pops up, and it'll shoot out bolts of energy from it. And these bolts can like, destroy incoming projectiles or just hit enemies. So the Magistrati's natural affinity with order and chaos also allow them to enhance their bodies. So the Blessing of Light makes their body immune to poison and disease and corruption, as well as giving them a much enhanced healing factor. And the Blessing of Chaos makes the body stronger, more agile, as well as giving them the ability to harden small areas of their body in preparation for a blow, if they have a second to react. Another ability that they have is the Blessing of Freedom. This is, again, a medium range cast, and it uses creative chaos to free an ally who is trapped, stunned, or slowed. And this also damages whatever's doing that constricting. So either like breaking shackles or hurting somebody who's like grappling with them. In my world, all magic is tied to the 4 aspects of reality. So assertive order, supportive order, creative chaos, and destructive chaos. Using any magic turns your mind and soul more towards that one aspect, and also releases energy of that aspect into the world around the spell. Due to this, all Magistrati must be careful to maintain their balance with these energies. So if you use too much order magic, you're going to become more like a Sun Elf Paladin, losing your love of freedom and free will in an attempt to bring more order and safety. On the other end, if you use too much chaos magic, then you can fall into a type of Death Knight of destructive chaos. And these fallen Magistrati become servants of Tenebris Deus. So they become like the powerful leaders of his dark army, seeking to end all order. So the Magistrati are like, I kind of see them as kind of like a gray Jedi, where, right, if you go too far good, you become a normal Jedi. If you go too far bad, you become a Sith. So this is kind of like my version of that, where it's like the Magistrati always have to walk a path, balance between order and chaos. So that's it for today. That's all I got on the Magistrati. Actually, yeah, that's all I got for today. So thank you very much and have a great day.